United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Bobby.
Hey guys, check this out. I am officially now sponsored by Duuuval. Duuuval is a clean energy drink made to give you focus with no crash. If you guys are like me, you're always needing a burst of energy, especially with one with no crash. Duuuval contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. It keeps me awake with no jitters, guys. Check it out. Merch link is in the bio. Duuuval. Greetings, salutations, and what's up? This is the pre-party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your numero uno, nay, your premier source of news and information for the United Wrestling Network and the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is Jay Cal, and every Tuesday, we come to you, Daddy, to talk NWA. Is that my Nick Nitro segment? Daddy! Every Tuesday, the pre-party, we come and talk NWA. We do this right before the hour of power, and it's too sweet to be sour. We're talking NWA. And we talk NWA with you, that hashtag NWA fam, each and every week, and I'm glad to be here. It's usually one of the most fun days out of the week for me, and I see that there's already so many good people here in the chat that enjoy this show each and every week, this live stream right here on YouTube. I even accidentally forego Twitch today, and we are on Twitter. We're streaming live on Twitter. This was an early Christmas present. It's a bottle opener. Anyways, so what's up, everybody? I see Mike is in the house. I see Bobby Batito's back here. Nice seeing you again, Bobby. Jody's in the house. Who wants to know, y'all ready for that Tyra Show Food Network? And that would be amazing. Kayfabe Soup. Heebs, better known as Heebs. He's in the house. Viva the pre-party. Let's go. Lois Grain is, she just made her debut recently on the highly acclaimed Women of Wrestling, and that's honestly what am I trying to say? I've known Lois Grain for a little bit. I knew her as strictly as a wrestler here in Southern California. Did not realize that she was even still wrestling. And then when I went to the WOW tapings, she was there, but I didn't put two and two together until I saw her at another show where she recorded that intro for us. Unfortunately, the video camera was not very good that day. Paladin's in the house. What's up? What's up, dude? What's going on, man? Steve G, how you doing? Steve, are you heading out to the NTLL shows that they've been having lately? We've talked about it. Noob is here. What's up, Noob? Jammin' Music Man. Jammin' does a lot of content on his channel too, usually unboxing and a lot of NWA related content there. Check it out. Who did I miss? Is Willie here? Willie's in the house. What's up, Willie? What's going on? Shrek is here. What's going on? Let's see. You should try Kick, Jay. It's a new... You know what? I'm actually on Kick right now, Paladin. We're actually streaming on Kick. It was an accident. I wasn't trying to do anything special today, but for somehow, some way, I accidentally hit the Twitter box, Xbox, the Twitter box, as opposed to the Twitch, and that's why we're broadcasting on Twitter right now. I can't really control that, so it is what it is. And Dave Scooby says, shout out to Alliance Gold, of course, my dear personal friend Tim. I almost called him Tim Gold. Tim Wood, turning the magical 2-9 this year. Happy birthday, Tim. It was an honor and a privilege to get to meet you in Gladsboro earlier this year. It was an honor and a privilege to get to hang out with you in St. Louis, see the sights. I'll never forget Treasure and Hooters and the Wax Museum right there in St. Louis. But Tim's my guy, and him coming aboard and being a part of this process has really helped with the growth of this channel as well. And Tim not only is the navigator of the other Alliance guys, but he's also occasionally a fill-in here at the pre-party and at the Alliance guys. He is the dude who can do it all, and I am grateful for him. So happy birthday, Tim. When you watch this, it'll be good. Let's see. Let's see. Hooters. Showgrain, the great Hisa's here. I said grain. Showgain. Doing dishes. Dishes are good, man. Dishes need to get done. Don't make your wife do the dishes all the time. All right. So what do you guys want to talk about? We have a great show for you tonight on Power. And I say we, I mean they. It's not really me. I've never produced an episode of Power. They never asked me to direct or even hold a camera. So it's not my show, but it is the show that they give us each and every Tuesday. And so far, it is a product that is placed on YouTube that we can watch entirely for free. YouTube.com/the NWA, 6:05 Eastern, 3:05 Pacific, right after the show. And tonight is a pretty big night for them, as they will be featuring multiple title matches. This is a good show. Am I missing something here? I am missing something. Yeah, what the heck? Why am I missing that? All right. Well, that's weird. But yeah, it's going to be a fun night, I think, on Power, and we'll get to those matches momentarily. Of course, there's been two. Jay, imagine you either bought out NWA or made a promotion that took out NWA or Impact. Yeah, I don't know if that's ever going to be a thing for me, to be quite honest with you. My goal was to do something in wrestling many years ago, and I myself just celebrated a 45th birthday a few weeks ago. I don't know that I have it in me to run a wrestling promotion. Now, I might be interested in doing other things, but in terms of actually running the day-to-day operations of a wrestling promotion, I don't think that's something I care to do anymore. Just being honest. Maybe I could have done it a few years ago, but now it's like, I'm a small business owner. I have kids. I have a wife. I do have somewhat of a social life. I don't know how I can have all of that, this, and run a wrestling promotion. So, East Coast. Did I say something wrong? If Vince Russo or somebody like him can do it. Hey, man. Good point. Let's see. Okay, so the big news that was released earlier today, and this is with regards to the United Wrestling Network. They have been very stagnant. Basically, the sabbatical took a lot longer than it was supposed to. Now, I've talked to Dave, and I can't tell you what Dave and I spoke about, but this was part of it, and I'm surprised that the news broke this early. But Ironheart Pro Wrestling is officially joining the United Wrestling Network. Ironheart Pro emanates out of Minnesota. They're going to be basically a championship wrestling from Minnesota. Now this is new. The United Wrestling Network in the past has had members, affiliates, territories, whatever you want to call it, similar to the NWA since 2013, but a lot of them have come and gone. Championship Wrestling from Arizona was a Dave Marquez production. Championship Wrestling from Atlanta was a Dave Marquez production. Memphis Championship Wrestling or Memphis Wrestling, whatever you want to really call it, that's been a partnership between Dave Marquez and Dustin and Maria Starr. And there's been other promotions that have repped the United Wrestling Network banner, but none of them are around at this point. So this is big news coming in 2024 with a new member in Minnesota, with its relative proximity to Derby City and also to Memphis Championship Wrestling. It is kind of feel like this territory system is marching back up again, ramping back up again. I know that there have been talks with other promotions, and actually some of those promotions I think will be great additions to the team. Some of them I don't think will actually work out at all, but I know there are talks to add some more promotions to the United Wrestling Network in 2024. We know that the next round of TV tapings for Championship Wrestling will take place in January 13th, I believe is the date. I have it on my calendar and I don't know it, so I'll look real quick. Calendar. And yes, that is January 14th. And that will be in Long Beach at the Thunder Studios. There will be an audience. This will be the first time Championship Wrestling will have an audience at the Thunder Studios. That's where they had previously taped the Primetime Live series that featured many NWA title matches during the global pandemic that shut everything down. And so this is all good news. There's a lot of positive momentum happening in the United Wrestling Network. They're not there yet. Obviously, things have to actually happen. It can't just be, hopes and good wishes, but I do feel like Dave Marquez is about to turn a corner. And if the things happen that he has told me, has alluded to, then good Lord, you guys are going to want to stay tuned to this. It's going to be a lot of fun. But, in the meantime, make sure you support them. If you enjoy the brand, make sure you watch the videos when they're on YouTube. Go to the live events if it's near you, obviously, and support that brand. Because I really feel like that's going to be exciting for the United Wrestling Network going forward. Let's see. Speak, Jay, you're live. I am speaking. You guys don't hear me? Shrek said the NWA had an affiliate at my state. I didn't know that. That's cool. What? I don't know what state you're in, Shrek. I could use W right now. Man, W is great, man, but don't use it too much. Don't get wired. Bobby Bettino says Heather Monroe wrestled at Mission Pro last Saturday. Heather Monroe is a freelance. She wrestles in a lot of places, and I wouldn't be surprised to see her back in an NWA ring in 2024. I wouldn't be surprised to see her in a United Wrestling Network ring in 2024. Hebe says, I think Misa Kate works on Ironheart dates in the past. It's a small indie. Yeah, and what it is, and like this is true. This is true for those who are working with Dave Marquez, and this is also true for those who are working with the NWA. When you become an affiliate or a territory or a licensee, whatever it is, it's twofold, right? Because you are bringing value to the NWA, and the value that you're taking is that you're aligning yourself with a nationally recognized brand. Now, Joe Kazana Promotions has been doing a hell of a job of cultivating that local market that he's in, but they're not getting play across the U.S. There is not a huge audience outside of his local market that is following that brand. But now being attached to the NWA, there will be more people invested in what happens with Joe Kazana Promotions. And the same thing for Ironheart Promotions, or whatever that's called. I just blew the name. When they get out there and say, hey, we're part of this United Wrestling Network. And what Dave also brings to the table is he helps get you on TV. He's got a lot of connections. They've produced a lot of television, again, Atlanta, Arizona, Memphis, Derby City. The goal is to put the product on TV. So he will help assist them with that. He will get them on TV. It's up to them to continue to do what they're doing, obviously. And again, there are a lot of things involved, especially spending money. So each person who joins into these relationships, again, be it United Wrestling Network or the NWA, they have to be fiscally responsible with their money. The NWA isn't going to carry a bad promotion to make them a good promotion. But what they will do is help put a bigger spotlight on the affiliate that is associated with them, just like the United Wrestling Network. So it's going to be a wait and see. I'm excited for it. Especially if they are okay with booking, the world champion Danny Limelight. I think that's good for all parties, especially Danny Limelight. So we'll see how that works out. Dodie says Steel Domain Wrestling used to be Championship Wrestling from the Twin Cities during their brief connection. Yeah, and it didn't really pan out that great for them, and that's why it didn't continue to happen. It just it didn't make a lot of sense for all the parties. Jammin' Music Man says, I'm excited for the future of territory wrestling. There's good reason, man. It's exciting. It's not exactly what we think as fans, but there are good things that are associated with it. Obviously, for all the promotions that have this territory system is the ability to find diamonds in the rough. You'll hear, if you listen to the Alliance guys on Thursdays, you'll always hear Jaden talk about Lawrence Zirconium, the owner of Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators, always looking for that diamond in the rough. How can I find someone to polish and put them in my promotion and make them benefit me? That's the same idea. And we've already seen some new faces emerge in the National Wrestling Alliance, and I'm sure we'll continue to see new faces emerge from this territory system. And that's a good thing. Minnesota, I want the NWA to come to one of its founding territories. There are more than just one promotion in Minnesota. That is surely and for certain. Yes, it is a bottle opener. Luchador bottle opener. That is the bottle opener. It does a Hurricane Rana on your root beer. Jesus. Memphis ain't cutting it for me. Hopefully some things break UWN's way soon. And the problem with Memphis is it's they're trying, but it's also, talent costs money, and the people that work for less money aren't usually the most premier talent. I know they're trying their best to get that area going, and I have faith that Dustin will eventually get that area to a higher plateau. But stay tuned to Championship Wrestling. Stay tuned to Derby City. I know that, again, these shows are going into production soon. I think by February, those shows that are taped in January will hit market in around February, and hopefully things will start going through it again. What, Georgia, Jay? Are you talking about Championship Wrestling from Atlanta? Buy Tubby or Tyrus will eat your food and make a cooking show and be under your bed. That's a lot. If Tyrus had a cooking TV show, I feel sorry for every toilet in the studio. Jesus, really. EC3 is doing a great as champion. I 100% agree with you. He just was out here on his West Coast tour. Not out here, but on the West Coast in Utah for Devotion Championship Wrestling. He defended the title against Manny Lemons, and of course, I didn't see any results posted, but I also didn't see Manny Lemons celebrating with the 10 pounds of gold. One could assume that EC3 is still your world's heavyweight champion, and until the NWA acknowledges a new champion, neither will I. Paladin, I did not hear about Jade Cargill's mother dying of cancer. That is awful. That sucks. Cancer sucks. F cancer. It's terrible. I lost a friend a few years ago who had a pancreatic cancer, stage 4. They caught it. They thought they got it, and he was in remission only for it to come back in. He was a young dude, man. And his birthday was actually just a few days ago. We think about him all the time. It's hard, man. And I'm not going to try to turn this into that, but tell the people you love that you love them daily. Let's see. I heard that Natalia Markova is going to take on Tiffany Nieves for the Exodus Pro's women's title next month. Number one, I didn't know Exodus Pro had its own women's title, so that's cool. 2, I think you're looking between Tiffany Nieves and Natalia Markova. You've got a big part of the NWA women's division going forward. So, yeah, I'm good with that. Probably was the actual reason Jade been off TV, not because of training, but because her mother was dying. I'm sure it was. I mean, look, have you ever lost a loved one? It's kind of hard to focus on anything. And the thing about cancer is it's like sometimes you just know that you're not going to win, and you have to live with that. And that's a way deeper of a topic that I wanted to talk about on a Tuesday. Jammin' Music Man, what did you think of NWA Branded Outlaw when it existed? I really enjoyed the look and feel of Branded Outlaw. It was very gritty. Of course, that's where we got to see the big title change between Rob Conway and the Tokyo Monster Cahagas. Initially, that angle was filmed. It was supposed to be Jack Stane's match, but Jack Stane was attacked by his former cohorts in that Branded Outlaw. They turned on him, costing him that opportunity, opening the door for Rob Conway to come in, who was, even at the time, was partially retired, came in, won the title, and then took it to New Japan Pro Wrestling. I really like Branded Outlaw. They are not exactly my choice for the next NWA territory, but I think they would be interesting. Steve, I think so too, man. I look, the wrestling it's not great. But I think for what he's been able to do in that area with that territory, it's pretty phenomenal. And I just hope it continues to grow and flourish. Obviously, they do a great job of bringing in some big name talents, but I wish they had a more complete roster. I think that's the best way to say it. Would you like to see NWA Women's title defended in Mission Pro? Dave Scooby, with 100%, I would like to see that. I feel like Mission Pro would be a great affiliate of the NWA. And I know before people say, well, hey, it's just women's wrestling, but what is one of the weaknesses that the NWA has currently? The women's roster is good. It could be better. There have been points where that roster was so thin and you had 4 separate titles and almost nobody to challenge for them. So I feel like a pipeline that leads Mission Pro directly to the NWA, I think is good for all parties involved, especially when you have somebody like, now we know Kamille might be on her way out of the NWA. Of course, she did not renew her contract, but that doesn't mean she won't still be wrestling for them. But let's say when you had Kamille as Women's World Champion, her going down to Mission Pro and facing somebody like Genocide, who at one point was a regular there, or Mandy Rinkowski, who's there, or any number one of the talents who were there. Imagine if we had Tiffany Nieves versus Kamille for the Mission Pro title. Even today, that's a match that I would pay to see. And I think that pipeline between the two companies could be very beneficial. Of course, they're not there, and I don't even know if it ever will be there. I guess it's just more wishful thinking as a fan of pro wrestling. Noob, who is our resident Natalia Markova fan, says that he hopes there are plans for Markova in 2024. I really think so. I don't think that she would be in the position that she's been in and have gone the places that the NWA has taken her if there were no plans to use her. I mean, she did go to Australia. She has represented the NWA in Mexico. FTW, I think, has some sort of a working relationship. If they're not a direct affiliate, there is some sort of agreement with the talents there and the NWA. I could see them still working together in 2024. And I don't think Markova's going anywhere unless someone signs her to a much bigger contract. Riddle and Ziggler are going to face off at MCW. Riddle's going to be in Mexico in a match that's going to feature Brian Cage and I forgot the other one, but I'll be there, and we'll have the Alliance blog cameras rolling, and that should be a lot of fun. Thunder Rosa owns Mission Pro, and she doesn't get along with Corgan. Nick Aldis said that he would have to mediate between the two before she left. Things changed a lot after she left, and I think it could work. But again, it's money. It's all about money. I kid you not, money will fix a lot of problems. They say money can't buy you happiness, but it can buy you peace, and that makes a lot of things happen. The other late breaking news, this just handed to me, announced earlier today, Viva Revolucion, or Viva Revolution. You know, if they're going to go with Viva, they should have said Revolucion. But, all right, well, Fort Lauderdale, they're returning back to Fort Lauderdale. In fact, that's actually, I believe that is the night before Paranoia. Wait a minute. It's not the night before. It's the morning before. Wait, did anyone put this together yet? Revolution happens at 10 in the morning. Paranoia happens at... Well, wait a minute. I mean, cool. Coastal Championship Wrestling, from what I understand, has reached out to a number of parties to help grow its brand. Working with the NWA makes so much sense in the fact that their talents they're already sharing talents, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally. Kylan King was working for Coastal Championship Wrestling. Kamille has had multiple title defenses. I believe they've used Taya Valkyrie. I know that they used a couple other talents from the Coastal Championship Wrestling have worked the NWA. I don't know if this is necessarily setting up for the NWA to do a like a co-promotion. Hang on just a second. I don't know if this is leading to them actually co-promoting, or if they're joining the territory, or if this is a one-night only event. But none of the names have been announced yet. Sorry, guys. I'm had late breaking news being handed to me at the moment. So let's see. So yeah, that's coming up on the 13th, 2 dates back to back and same day, really. What do you guys think about that? What's going on there? There is more or less paranoia after dark, or paranoia before dark. Let's see. QT versus Fuego is Coastal Championship Wrestling. Well, let me just pull it up. I can tell you some of the matches that are happening at Coastal Championship Wrestling. In the past, let's see. Of course, I must have spelled something wrong. Sorry for the delay, guys. I'm trying to find something about that. Okay, here we go. Coastal Championship Wrestling, Coral Springs, Florida. Let's see some of their most recent shows. Lindsay Snow, Ruthie J, Alex Chamberlain, QT Marshall. Let's see. Ozzy Killemeister, Jay Vidal, Emily Locke, Casey Lennox, Eddie Valentine. Yeah, I mean, not a whole lot of big time names I know of, but again, they have previously had matches with Kenzie Page defended her title there. Tom Latimer has been there. Kamille has defended her title there. Yeah, I see right now QT Marshall defended against Fuego del Sol. So yeah, I mean they've Daisy Kill Jack Talos defended the titles there, so they've been there for a few times, you know. Let's see, why is Chris Drummond sending me stuff in the middle of this podcast? Chris Drummond, he said, so is NWA part of Coastal Championship Wrestling from Florida's show? Say what? Say that again. I don't know what you mean. Matthew Underwood said Revolution takes place in the evening, 10 p.m. Did I read the sign wrong? Oh, 10 p.m. My mistake. Thank you for clarifying that, Matthew. And now, Dodie, what you said makes a lot more sense. This more or less Paranoia After Dark. Okay. That's interesting. I mean, they better only have a 2.5 hour show, though. I think, and again, before everyone gets too excited about this, they did do a joint event with Boca Raton Championship Wrestling. They did do a joint event with AAA Lucha Libre in Mexico City. This might just be a one-off joint show effort, or it could be something bigger. And it's kind of hard to tell just what exactly it's going to be, what it will mean. But clearly there's some interest with the NWA in Florida, having done so many shows there already, and then 2024 having dates starting to line up. I think this is going to be a big deal for the NWA going forward. It seems like Florida might be that hot spot for them, considering Boca Raton is there, Fight the World is there, the return to Bobarts is there. I'm sure they'll be back at Bobarts at some point in the future as well, doing the Paranoia event, and now Coastal Championship Wrestling. I feel like it's a big deal. Dodie said CCW has been on the plan of reviving the old Championship Wrestling from Florida. I believe they already have a plan for that since earlier this year. I know, Dodie, that they have run events outside of Florida as well. They've done events in Tennessee. I know they did a WrestleMania event in California earlier this year as well. So I don't know what their plan is, what they want to be, but if they want to be an affiliate of the NWA, I mean, I think that would be a good choice to work with. But again, we know that in the past, Billy only really works with people who have an existing relationship with Billy. So we'll see how that plan pans out. We just kind of have to wait and see. No matches have even been announced yet. No matches have been announced yet for Paranoia, and it's only about a month away. So we'll have to, again, just kind of wait and see. I see Sam Retro just popped in. What's going on, Sam? And then, of course, there's other things going on, too, that are NWA adjacent that could be considered maybe they could be like potential future territories. Like, you know, Kenzie and Kylie Page have just taken over the family business. They are now running Crossfire Wrestling, and their first show will be Friday, January 26th. It's called Off the Hook. You've got the Women's World Champion in Kenzie. You've got the Women's Television Champion in Kylie. And I also know that in action on this event is supposed to be Rolando will be in action. We know that the NWA national champion and founding member of the Southern Six, Thrillbilly Silas Mason, will be involved in that show. So we can see that things are building up. But heck, even before we get there, right, we know that our world's heavyweight champion will be defending the 10 pounds of gold live at the Davis Arena this Saturday night as part of the Christmas Chaos. He'll be in action, of course, representing the NWA at Ohio Valley. And then we also know that later this month as well, and I guess it already passed. Oh, well, never mind that one. Oops. Can't get them all, guys. So things are really starting to stack up from the NWA. That's the Championship Wrestling from Florida on that day, Jay. Yeah, I understand that, Chris. Rosa is getting back to AEW near end of the month, so much doesn't matter now. Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I think that Thunder Rosa still has influence in Mission Pro, and I think she has a big stake in what happens next for them. I don't know why everyone wants to blow up my phone during a live stream. Chris says Gangrel, Bill Alfonso, the Taskmaster, all have signed on to be a part of this historic event on January 13th. I know that I think that Kevin Sullivan has been associated, and Gangrel have been associated with Coastal Championship Wrestling for a while. Fred Sanford. Bobby's saying he's looking forward to seeing Colby Carino wrestle tonight on Power. I am too. Until the Chiefs Heaves, man, going for blood. I don't know about that. Thunder had major heat for sandbagging, though. It's been almost a year, so hopefully she learned her lesson. Man, there's so much there, Paladin. There's so much there. I know you know some of it, but you don't know all of it. And things happen for a reason. With that being said, we have a good night of pro wrestling here in front of us. I do want to take a minute to acknowledge that on Saturday, December 9th, was the 6th anniversary of one of the biggest events to get the ball rolling for the National Wrestling Alliance under William Patrick Corgan. Of course, it was 6 years ago today that the NWA Worlds Heavyweight Championship changed hands in Sewell, New Jersey, a part of Combat Zone Wrestling. I think it was Caged. What was it? Caged for Death? What was that show called? Cage of Death. Number 19. And the way they built this up was so weird because, of course, we know that Nick Aldis had every intention of pursuing the world's heavyweight title from Tim Storm. They even had a one-on-one match in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood earlier in the year. Essentially, the big thing happened in 2017 when Billy Corgan bought the NWA from what we'll call International Wrestling Corporation, or the Bruce Tharp era of the NWA. Billy buys the brand. And while him and Dave Lagana are geniusing or manifesting whatever plan they have for the NWA going forward, they allowed the existing brands, the existing alliances, the existing licensees to continue to work as everything was the same. Now, their official agreement with all of the licensees were set to expire October 2nd in 2017. At that point, you saw promotions like NWA Innovative Pro Wrestling make the decision to just drop the NWA then and there. There were other promotions who were still kind of actively pursuing that name. And when October 2nd hit in 2017, the NWA officially withdrew recognition from all those licensees. Every world title was frozen with the exception of our world's heavyweight champion, Tim Storm. Now, Tim Storm had this spotlight presented to him as part of the 10 Pounds of Gold series. That they were shining this light on Tim Storm. If you didn't know Tim Storm before the 10 Pounds of Gold series, you knew who he was now. And they did such a good job of humanizing the world champion. Up until that point, Tim Storm mostly wrestled as a heel, and the series really put him in such a good faith with everybody who was watching it that Tim was an instant babyface. And so when Aldis challenged him, this guy from the UK, if you weren't familiar with Aldis's work in TNA, all you knew is he's this British muscular guy. But he was also an Impact World Champion and also a Global Force World Champion. So he had held some championship gold in the past. And that when he was approached by the NWA, he was mostly semi-retired. And remember, it's funny to say this, but at one point, the NWA was looking to work with Drew Galloway, to be their guy. He was supposed to be the guy. And when he got re-signed back to the WWE, the next guy that they looked at was Eli Drake, LA Knight. Also, he was not available at the time that they were looking to inquire about him. EC3 was also discussed, as well as Nick Aldis. So there was like 4 dudes that it could have been. It all got focused in on Nick Aldis. He would become the challenger. And so he started stalking Tim Storm in terms of he showed up in Hollywood, demanded an opportunity to wrestle for the title. Then the next week, or the next taping, he was there and actually wrestled for the world title. And of course, none of this came to fruition. He did not win the title on that first opportunity. And now we fast forward to December, and Matt Tremont invited Tim Storm to Combat Zone Wrestling. Matt Tremont wanted to angle his own opportunity to wrestle for the 10 pounds of gold. And now this was absolutely the worst place to do it, because that hardcore crowd and, Philly in general, or excuse me, not Philly, New Jersey in general, was not a hotbed for the NWA at this point in time. But then combine that with a crowd who's more into ultra violent wrestling, it wasn't a good fit. But you had Matt Tremont out there demanding a title shot, not demanding, asking politely while putting over Tim Storm for an opportunity to wrestle for the 10 pounds of gold. Then he was interrupted by all ego Ethan Page. He's in AEW now. He's a former Impact World Tag Team Champion. He puts his sight on Tim Storm and mentions that he wants a world title shot at Tim Storm of the 10 pounds of gold. And he's interrupted by none other than the AEW World Champion currently, MJF, who also stakes his claim at wrestling against Tim Storm with the definitive line is that you're old, and tried to get this title shot. All this chaos is going on. And then what do you get? Well, you get Austin Idol wearing a Santa hat. And he finally puts down the challenge, which is the one that Tim Storm ends up accepting later in the evening. Much wasn't controversy as much as apathy. Apathy is the word. They didn't care. They did not care about Tim Storm. They cared less about Nick Aldis. It didn't care about the NWA at all. But the title changed hands, and you had a new World's Heavyweight Champion. And this would set the ball rolling for the NWA going forward. Now, I don't even think this video footage ever aired on any kind of NWA-affiliated programming. I don't think we saw it on the 10 pounds of gold. I don't think you saw it on Power. It was never shown in the recaps or the clips of upcoming events, specifically because it was a bad look for the NWA. But this all happened 6 years ago today. And of course, Nick Aldis would take this World's Heavyweight title to the UK at the beginning of January of 2018. It would be later defended in Australia. Before Australia, it would be defended in China under the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood banner. It would be talked about at the All In pay-per-view extravaganza before there was an AEW, the All-In event. Before that happened, he took the title to Australia with the House of Hardcore Tommy Dreamer's promotion. And Nick Aldis gets all this credit for getting that belt out there and getting it exposure and making it meaningful. And of course, like a lot of us appreciated what Tim Storm had done with the title, but to be quite honest, Nick Aldis brought it to a new level, a level that was much needed for this new NWA, this Lightning One era NWA, this startup NWA is what they would call it. And so having Nick Aldis take that belt to China, take that belt to Australia, defend it all over the US, all of this was a great deal. And about 8 months later, the build up to All In, Nick Aldis, Cody Rhodes in the Chicago area for that title. So many more eyeballs were attracted to the NWA because of this. And it really set the NWA moving forward in a very fast pace, a very quick direction. So shout out to Billy Corgan, Dave Lagana, Dave Marquez, and everyone else who had the foresight to book this match and book Nick Aldis in this way that really jump-started the NWA. I don't have a ton of nice things to say about Nick Aldis as a human being, but as a pro wrestler, that guy really did hit it his first run as World's Heavyweight Champion. And my hat's off to them for that. Now, I said all that. Now I'm going to try to read some of your guys' comments because I obviously ignored you guys while I was reading that and talking about that. But let's see. Let's see. Rosa has influence with me too. Yeah, that's fucking great, Matt. Heard Chris Dog was in the chat, so I had to throw a haymaker. Shots fired. Devin Dowling, JMF and Cal. I'm late, but I made it. No, that's good, man. It's good. Hey, anybody who watches this show, even for a minute, I appreciate you guys. We have 19 people in here right now in the chat. You guys help carry the load here, and I greatly appreciate that. Bobby Bettito is looking for Allie Recks. I have a little bit. I'll talk about Allie Recks here in just a few minutes. Let's see. Is QT still wrestling in AAA still? I mean, he's still their champion. I haven't seen him booked on any recent cards, but that doesn't mean he won't be. Let's see. And Joe Ocasio, he's making his return to NWA tonight. Eli Drake was on the first season of Power. What caused him to leave after that season? Devin Dowling, essentially the NWA shut down, and he had asked for his release because an opportunity came along to go to NXT. I believe if there was no global pandemic, and this is fantasy booking here, no one's ever confirmed this to me, but I believe at some point the plan was to put Eli Drake and Nick Aldis in the same ring together. I think that was the plan. Unfortunately, they dragged their feet to get there, and it really, I think, would have benefited the NWA had they pulled that trigger. They were, before the pandemic, they were building up to Marty Scurll versus Nick Aldis Part 2. And I don't think that would have sold as well as Eli Drake and Nick Aldis. And I feel like that was a misstep. But I feel like that's what they were going to be building to after that match. I don't know. This has never been confirmed to me by anyone. But they were painting themselves into a corner with the way that they were presenting that match, where basically Marty Scurll was going to win the title. Thankfully, that didn't happen because of a pandemic. But nevertheless, here's a spoiler for everyone. QT Marshall is booked in CCW or CWF on the 13th. Well, there you go. Late breaking news. This just handed to me. Nick looks great there. Well, Nick you got to remember, Nick was a good dude, good looking guy. He's a great wrestler. I'm not trying to see, now you got me complimenting this guy. Nick Aldis should still be wrestling right now. And I hope at some point in his reign with the WWE as a SmackDown general manager, it transitions to some in-ring wrestling. But also, I would say the same thing about Adam Pearce. I just feel like Nick Aldis is he's smart to take the money. You know, he's got a family to feed. You know, he still has life goals outside of pro wrestling, and in this role, he could certainly obtain them. So good for him, man. Maybe Nick Aldis versus Cody 3 will happen in the WWE. It could. I just don't foresee it happening. I think the moment has passed. There's the history that they had is not even the WWE's history, so it's not like they could show you the what their history was. Right? AEW fans know it because of All In. NWA fans know it because of the 70th anniversary show. But WWE fans aren't really clued into why there would be any animosity between the two. You know, it'd be fun for smug looks or like longingly look at a title for too long. But instead of that, I don't think it would really work. Drew McIntyre would have been definitely a bigger attraction than Aldis. I mean, I think so. You have to remember, too, at the time when McIntyre Gallo was being booked, he was a big deal on the indies. He did the same thing that Cody did maybe just a few years earlier. You know, McIntyre was supposed to be the next big thing for the WWE, and next thing you know, he's in a three-man band, you know, and he wasn't getting over. So he bet on himself, and he went out there and went back to the indies and really built up his reputation and got this momentum going to the WWE that eventually led to him winning the world championship, albeit during a COVID era. He still is a world's heavyweight champion, and he could have been what Nick Aldis was, if they wanted him to be, if he would have chose it. OVW Christmas Chaos will be a better venture than OVW people on AEW. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with that. Can we stop acting like Thunder's being punished in AEW? She's the lead Spanish announcer in AEW. That's another check. I have no problem with her being Spanish announcer, but I also know she would rather be in the ring. And I think if you asked her, hey, we can keep paying you to be the announcer or we can pay you to be a wrestler, what do you think she's going to choose, Chris? I don't think she's being punished. I just think they haven't brought her back into the fold yet, which I think is a shame. She would have already been back in it. But at the same time, what angle are you going to put her into? With Julia Hart? No. You're going to put her with Toni Storm? No. Maybe with Athena and Ring of Honor. That would have been a good way to go if you were asking me. Bobby, I really appreciate that, man. That was a very fun interview. What's going on, Rosville? Let's see. Oh, by the way, Jake Howell, thanks for subscribing. Yeah, man. Look, I get it. You still want to grow your channel. Like, I don't know how many friends joined the Alliance blog and had never watched an episode, but hey, it's a means to an end. So we'll leave it at that. If someone has a broken back, is asked to surrender a TV prop belt, that's not punishment. It's dubbed as here. It is a position for you to keep your job with us. Yeah, man, it's a payday while you're recuperating. I don't think Thunder Rosa is being punished. That's not a phrase that I have said. I just think they've waited a lot longer than they probably should to bring her back into the fold. But you have to remember, Tony probably has some sort of a idea of how he's going to book things, and until she's available, he doesn't have a way to book her into storyline. So now that time has come. Personally, put her in Ring of Honor, let her go against Athena, and have that be a rivalry that can help produce Ring of Honor more buy rates, more eyeballs. At least in my. I did not know that QT lost the belt, Chris. That's news to me. Thank you for letting me know, though. I did not know that. When QT lost the belt because AEW started working with AAA less, QT wanted his release. QT thinks he's championship material. Let him go be a champion someplace else, as the AEWs have rejected him. Look, AEW fans rejected Cody Rhodes. It doesn't, just because AEW rejects you doesn't mean they're right. I don't know, Steve. You did okay. I don't know. Regarding Aldis Rhodes 3, unless they lease some of the NWA 70 footage from Billy. Yeah, again, I don't think they're going to do that. I know not everyone in this chat watches the WWE, but they have so many advanced storylines already in the works. Why would they go back to a retread that happened in a promotion that many would consider lesser? The WWE audience, there's a million people watching WWE programming every week. I don't know what that number is, how many of those fans are watching the NWA, but I would imagine it's less than 2%. 20%. Let's see. Willie thinks Paul Burchill's going to have a good future in the NWA. I mean, he could, man. Tony, Thunder Rosa is not being punished. Just AEW's women division booking sucks. All right, so let's go to. So I lost my graphic, but I had a nice little graphic talking about tonight's episode of Power. So just bear with me here, because on tonight's Power episode, I labeled this episode of the live stream NWA debuts, because a few months ago, a certain wrestling journalist said that the NWA would be cutting back on talents and whatnot. It doesn't seem like that's the case, because we see more and more debuts each and every week. Last week we saw the Slime Balls. This week we have 2 new additions to the women's roster. Now, if these are long-term additions or if these are just short-term because they were in Sarasota, I'm not sure. But what we do have tonight is Taylor Rising will be in a triple threat match with 2 newcomers for the NWA. We have Airica Demia, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, and Allie Recks. Now, Recks is a product from the East Coast. She got her start with Combat Zone Wrestling and also worked with the Monster Factory. You may have also seen her appear most recently for AEW, but she's also been a regular for Ladies Night Out on the Title Match Network. You've seen her in Shine or Ring of Honor, and she even boasts a championship victory over Kamille and Lindsay Snow in a triple threat match. That was for Snow's title at the time. So this will be her first NWA anything. Now, Airica, and that's spelled Airica, is the first female graduate from the Palmetto Wrestling Academy in South Carolina. It's a wrestling school headed by Ethan Chase. I'm not super familiar with Ethan Chase. She's scheduled to be part of the Pope's Duuuval Brawl 6. It's actually the Love Alive charity, but that's headed up by the Pope. The Duuuval Brawl has had in the past matches connected with the NWA. Even this year, Mims will be defending the TV title on the Duuuval Brawl number 6 this January, and Airica is their women's champion. So it'll be interesting to see how this will play out. If she is a regular for the NWA after tonight's event, that'll be 2 NWA talents that'll be working the Duuuval Brawl event. So, and also you might have seen Airica as part of Wrestlecade weekend. So that's a great 2 new additions to the women's roster, which sorely needs more talent. Again, we found out recently that Maddie seemingly has signed with the WWE and should be debuting with NXT probably in the new year. We know that Kamille may be stepping away from the NWA. We all we know about Kamille is she just didn't renew her contract, so she might still be a very integral part of the women's division, or she might not be seen at all. We just have to kind of wait and see. They do have a photo of her up on the NWA roster page. If you haven't checked out the National Wrestling Alliance website, do so. They've made a lot of updates to that, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised to see some new additions to that site. Another debut for the NWA will be the Heavenly Butterflies, Fabu Andre and Tony Donanti, and they will be taking on the team of Talos and Daisy Kills, the former U.S. tag team titles. Talos and Daisy Kills are looking to get back on their winning ways, having lost the tag titles and not have really had a lot of traction in the NWA since losing those belts. But Dante and Andre have not wrestled for the NWA before. They're mostly a Southern Eastern tag team based in Alabama and in Florida. They are the reigning DCW tag team champions, and they did have 2 matches with AEW during the Daily's Place era during COVID. So this will be an interesting debut for those guys. And again, they're taking on Talos and Daisy Kills. So we'll see what happens with that. In U.S. tag team title action, the Brothers of Funstruction will be challenging the Immortals for those very titles. Now, seemingly, the Brothers of Funstruction have sent La Rebellion packing, because we haven't seen Bestia, we haven't seen Vampiro, and the only place you've seen Mecha Wolf recently is on my podcast, because the 3 of them have not been seen on NWA programming since Samhain. Now, we know that they're not a part of the Return to Robarts, which I think airs this week. I think that's happening tonight. But we do know that the brothers have some pretty big victories. Recently, they defeated Magnum Muscle a few months ago, and they previously challenged for the U.S. tag titles when Daisy and Talos were champions, unsuccessful in that match. And then even just a few days ago in Fort Worth, Texas, they challenged the AAA tag team champions, Nueva Generación Dinamite, the AAA tag team champions, unsuccessful. So this will be a big test for both teams. Of course, the Immortals have been very dominant since becoming tag team champions, and I don't imagine that's going to change. Also, tonight marks the return of Joe Ocasio, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. This will be his first time in the NWA ring since 2022. He'll be challenging Colby Corino for the Junior Heavyweight Championship. The last time Corino and Ocasio were in the ring together was back in 2022 on an episode of NWA USA. It was a 4-way match. Ocasio also has been on the losing end of a 3-way match with Marshe Rocket and Eric Jackson. Ocasio's last match with the NWA was on an episode of Surge where he defeated Fodder, but we haven't seen him since. So it'll be interesting to see him get back into it. Now, what's interesting is Ocasio walks around about 238, which puts him about 18 pounds over the junior heavyweight limit. So I don't know if he's been cutting weight as of late or if he was just cutting weight for this matchup. Either way, the 32-year-old has an opportunity in front of him to shock the world. So that's tonight's episode of Power. I had graphics. Ocasio versus Colby Corino, Talos and Kills versus the Heavenly Butterflies, and the Immortals versus the Brothers of Funstruction. So at the very least, it's looking pretty good tonight. Good night of wrestling, some title matches. I'm excited to see what's going to happen for this. Of course, we've got Power starts in about 5 minutes, so I'm going to go through some comments and then we'll wrap it up for tonight. But let's see. Roswell says AEW doesn't do women's wrestling right. Willie Bowen says, yeah, let me talk to you. Eli Drake would have been a great NWA Worlds Heavyweight Champion. He said good, but I know he meant great. Doty says, let's forget AEW. Just 8 minutes remain. Yeah, I'm trying to get to it, Doty. QT would have been huge for the NWA, in my opinion. Also, 10 pounds of gold is the only outside belt they historically recognize in WWE. They also recently recognized Mickie James' women's championship when she was in the Royal Rumble. Yeah, and Noob, you knew who I was talking about. We don't have to say his name. NWA signed Brian Johnson. You're going to have to clue me in on who Brian Johnson is, Rosville. I don't know. I got the card for you guys. I was on it for you. NWA should sign the sons of Kevin Von Erich, Lacey Von Erich, and Miranda Gordy. That's a lot of talent. I don't know if Miranda is a good fit for the NWA. She was here previously as part of Pretty Empowered, the first pay-per-view, first all-women's NWA pay-per-view. She did not come back after that. So I don't know where that leads to. I don't know. Maddie vacated the MPW Tag Team Championship recently at Mission Pro. Yeah, that just kind of confirms that what we all think is that she's signed for WWE. And the Von Erichs will be at AEW this week. And Jeremy says, hey, do us a solid. Like and share with your friends. Subscribe. Comment after the show. That always helps with the numbers. And again, you guys have really been helping us out getting these numbers, these mountain numbers, man. The channel is like 20 away from 2K. And that's all because you guys sharing it, commenting, liking, subscribing. It's been a lot of fun. So we'll see how that goes going forward. Just some more of your guys' comments are talking about a lot of Impact stuff. Dodie wants to know where Marche is. And I don't know, man. It would be nice to see Marche. One of the nicest guys I've ever seen, too. If all older women look like Mickey, I wouldn't mind seeing more of Jesus. What's next for Jamie Staley? I don't know, man. I kind of hope Jamie comes back to the NWA at some point, but I don't know. We'll have to just wait and see. But that's it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Very jumbled show. I apologize. It's been kind of chaotic over here, but I'm glad we had this fun time. And make sure you go tune into Power now, youtube.com/NWA. Watch Power, talk Power, hashtag NWA fam, hashtag We Are the Alliance. And until next time, I'll see you at the matches. Good night now. Thanks for checking out the pre-party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. You should hit that subscribe button and join our community. I also want to remind you that we recap NWA Power every Thursday at 8 p.m. in the live stream. We try to stay social, so find us at the Alliance blog. And until next time, we are the Alliance.